a key component of that, I think, is then also an assessment, not only of your data quality, but also just taking a look at the different parts of the business where you want to apply data analytics and make some decisions about what's going to move the needle most.
Here are some highlights of a recent conversation I had with Tom Gale at MDM about how important analytics are for distributors and manufacturers to embrace.
In 2015, MDM published the Distributor's Guide to Analytics, and it's been one of our best sellers ever since and continues to get a lot of traction as people have brought it into their organizations to really help their teams develop their organizational capabilities and really move their journey forward in terms of these capabilities. I want to start in terms of defining analytics because there's a long time graphic that's always used to help people think about analytics, and it goes across the spectrum from descriptive analytics and what's happened in the past to predictive to prescriptive, and particularly with AI coming online here over the next few years, that prescriptive part I know is going to be changing very fast. That's sort of been one of the areas. But I think today I'd like to talk particularly about this migration from descriptive to predictive, James, because in my mind, this is where the organizations are really starting to push the envelope in terms of predictive capabilities. And I'm really interested in your take on how you're seeing things shape up right now.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to kind of set the stage here, Tom. And I would add another piece of information to this just for context. And because everybody's, interpretation of data and analytics is different. And this has changed a lot just in the last few years. But some of the modern ways of looking at it is just your central nervous system for operating your entire operation, right? So it's all the data that you need to operate your business successfully. So another way to look at it is master data management. So it's aggregating data across your customers, your products, your suppliers, and even the market data that you capture. So having all that at your disposal and being able to leverage it in a lot of different ways and make it accessible to your entire operation, that's really what we're referring to when we're saying building out data and analytics capabilities. But I would say, Tom, kind of going with what you were describing with descriptive and predictive, that's exactly how we help clients understand, how they can get their start and, evolve into data and analytics is looking at it through two ways, right? There's hindsight, uh, having a hindsight view on how to use data and analytics. And that's more along the lines of, hey, what happened in our business? How can we evaluate the data that we've been seeing with customer transactions, with what products we have, with what inventory levels we have? And a lot of companies are in this bucket today. They're kind of using data analytics through the rear view mirror of a driving analogy here. They're only looking at what's occurred in the past, and they might be leveraging some of that data to capture some insights to really understand what happened in their business. But the other way to look at this is really through the windshield analogy, and that's more of a foresight type analogy where you're using data and analytics to help you understand not only where you can go, but how you can add value to your customers, and using that data in more of a predictive manner to help you establish, new efficiencies, new ways in which you can drive value to your customer base. So that might be taking a lot of that historic data, like let's just take backlogs, for instance. How can you use backlog data to help you evaluate maybe what trends are coming and what products and inventory levels you should have to service new demand coming either from new customer segments or new markets that you might be servicing? So kind of understanding, data and analytics through that hindsight rear view mirror versus that foresight windshield type of perspective you want to move closer into looking at or leveraging data analytics into more of this forward-looking, foresight type of positioning to help you add value to your customers.
One of the things that's been very helpful over the years for me is to look at data analytics capability like a pyramid. And at the very bottom of that pyramid is data quality,
Yeah.
because particularly as an organization goes beyond the windshield, the rear view mirror type of analytics, um, the data quality issue becomes much more important in terms of being able to do um, better quality predictive analytics. And as a key component of that, I think, is then also an assessment, not only of your data quality, but also just taking a look at the different parts of the business where you want to apply data analytics and make some decisions about what's going to move the needle most. So, historically, distributors have put a lot into inventory and really managing inventory, taking a look at that. Obviously, the financial pieces around cash flow in particular. But then as you look a little bit farther and deeper, you've seen this evolution in terms of the industry adopting pricing, profitability analytics. Uh, and then I would say that the frontier here that's really starting to get pushed is really more around the sales and marketing analytics. And again, I think AI has an enormous opportunity down the road to really have a big impact. It already is being applied, and people are leveraging that. But I just want to get your thoughts around that, because I think to to make that jump from descriptive to predictive, you need to do this assessment and really understand where you are, where you can build those capabilities. And then another element, at a certain point, it's going to be critical to have that talent that you probably don't have today to really drive that deeper.
Yeah, and that's a great starting point, Tom, is having an assessment to really understand where you stand today, because that will give you, a roadmap as to where you need to go in the future to really start building your capabilities in this area. And I would look at it in three buckets, Tom, when you're doing that assessment, and it hits on kind of everything that you mentioned with data systems, people, process, and whatnot. But the first part of this is really the data aggregation and the data governance around, do you have all of the data collected? Is it aggregated? Are your systems connected in a way to where you're able to leverage that data? And then do you have good governance to maintain and keep that data of high integrity to where it could be used? And the second part to that is, would be a natural evolution, is the infrastructure, right? Do you have the right systems in place? Are they connected? Are you able to get this data to the right individuals at the right time to help them make the, real time decisions using the data? And then the third part is really people and process. So those three components really should make up, a high level assessment of where you currently stand today. And you need all of that in place in order to really be able to start leveraging data and analytics in new ways, especially getting to more of that predictive state where you're using some of these advanced use cases and whatnot.
James, you work a lot with both manufacturers and distributors to really try to help them optimize their relationships, really build stronger channel partnerships. Talk to me a little bit about the where you're seeing some great application of analytics and where people are pushing the envelope as far as gap analysis, those types of things.
Yeah, yeah, Tom, and there's some really exciting ones out there. Some of the biggest ones are that people may be familiar with here just in their own experiences with shopping online is, when you're shopping for a product online and it gives you a recommendation of some similar products, or you hit the homepage of a website that you're used to shopping and there's some suggestions of some products that you may be interested in based on some of your historic purchase behavior. This falls into what we would call more of a recommendation engine. And a lot of this is possible through using a lot of that historic data, but putting it through some advanced algorithms and maybe even some AI tools to where it can leverage that data to come up with recommendations on what you might be interested in purchasing based on certain behavior. Now that's probably more of a consumer example, but it's being applied to B2B in really interesting ways. And this is when you can start to layer in new sets of data. So if you know that certain products are, on back order, or if you know that certain product technologies are trending across different vertical markets, you can start to layer in a lot of this intelligence to where it's making your recommendation engines much smarter. It's not just using historic transactional data that's first party to you as a distributor. It's layering in new insights, new data from different sources. So that's probably one of the most top of mind examples that a lot of people are starting to move towards. But when it comes to operations, Tom, there's a lot of really exciting things that distributors are doing just to take cost out of their business and to get more efficient. You're very familiar with a lot of the software providers out there that are doing some of this right now, but those use cases to where you can automate workflow processes and you can still come up with ways in which your team can make recommendations to customers, that's really where you want to be as an organization. One other example comes to mind, and we were at a sales meeting with one of our clients, and it was interesting to hear conversations between their technology leader and a sales leader. And in this case, the sales leader wasn't even aware of a lot of these features that are being added and enhanced through the CRM of, hey, I can pull up in front of my customer and know not only exactly what they purchased, but I can understand more about what they could be purchasing based on what similar customers in that business were already buying. Things like that, to where it's just really getting smarter about what your teams can actually have conversations with your customers about. Another way I look at it, Tom, is instead of predictive analytics, it's more proactive analytics. So it helps your team proactively have value added conversations with your customers. So it's not just, looking through the rear view mirror, it's helping customers think in new ways and enlightening them with new recommendations, new suggestions on what they could be doing based on all the observations and insights and data that you've been collecting across your entire customer base. So super exciting. Some of the things that are being used out there right now.
Yeah, and the final point I just want to touch on, and I'm biased because of MDM analytics, but the distributors and manufacturers who triangulate what the market looks like and how to target their sales and marketing efforts using third party data, and there's a lot of different sources for that beyond what MDM analytics provides, but it really gives a very clear way to model what the opportunity looks like, how it segments out, but additionally then how to deploy the various sales and marketing resources that anyone may have to really go after that market effectively. And just it's 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 not, in some ways, it's nothing new because it's been around and people have used that. It's absolutely expanding in terms of how companies across the industry are using it today versus even 5 years ago, I think. And it points to, I think, that analytics is really one of these transformation levers that distributors and manufacturers have, that we've gone through this digital transformation cycle. I think this analytics cycle is uh, really another critical piece of this. There's the sales process piece that people have been going through in terms of really creating more omni-channel type models as well. And so it to me, these next few years will continue. AI isn't going to let distributors put their analytics on autopilot. That's to me, it's if anything, it's going to really require that they think about the talent they have on board that can leverage the AI tools that are coming out most effectively. And I'm on a little bit of a soapbox right now about AI is not about autopilot. It's about adding some incredible capabilities. But if you already don't have the foundation, and if you don't have your analytics journey mapped out clearly, you're not going to be able to really take advantage of it fully.
Yeah, and you want to be able to get the fundamentals done right, Tom, before you start using some of these advanced tools. And a lot of that comes down to aggregating your data, cleaning it, and governing it. But I would go back to with manufacturers specifically. It's super exciting to see uh, how manufacturers and distributors are coming together today in new ways and actually sharing different sets of data to make their strategies far more effective. Because if you're a manufacturer, you can come to the table with data that says, hey, here's the products that we're seeing selling really well in this area with this type of customer. And you can bring that data to bear with distributors and help them close their gaps and sell more into specific customer bases. So we're seeing new ways in which distributors are not only using their data, but working with manufacturers to really layer in a lot of their data and insights as well to make smarter decisions. Thanks for watching today. If you'd like to receive more insights on this topic, feel free to reach out to MDM directly at mdm.com or Dorn Group at dorngroup.com or follow us here on LinkedIn.